In the heart of Africa, surrounded by tall mountains and the great savannah, lay the village of Kijiji. The people of Kijiji were known for their kindness and wisdom. Among them was a young dwarf named Kofi. Unlike the other dwarfs, Kofi was different. He was not just any dwarf. He was a giant dwarf. Although he had the short stature of a dwarf, his heart and strength were as mighty as a giant's. Kofi was kind and loved by all the villagers. He had a big smile and always helped those in need. Despite his small size, he could carry heavy loads, climb the tallest trees, and even wrestle wild animals. The villagers often wondered how someone so small could be so strong. Kofi's strength and bravery were a mystery that fascinated everyone in Kijiji. One day, trouble came to Kijiji. A fierce lion named Simba the Terrible began to terrorize the village. Simba was no ordinary lion. He was huge and had a roar that could shake the ground. He stole livestock, destroyed crops, and frightened everyone. The villagers were scared and didn't know what to do. The village elders gathered to discuss what to do. Baba Juma, the wise elder, said, "We need a brave warrior to defeat Simba the Terrible, but who can do it?" Everyone was silent until Kofi stepped forward. "I will face Simba," he said confidently. The villagers were surprised. "But Kofi, you are just a dwarf. How can you defeat such a giant lion?" they asked. Kofi smiled. "I may be small, but I have the heart of a giant. Trust me." The next morning, Kofi prepared for his journey. He took his spear and a special amulet given to him by Mama Zawadi, the village healer. "This amulet will protect you," she said. As Kofi set off into the savannah, the villagers gathered to see him off. They were worried, but they believed in his courage. Kofi walked for hours under the hot sun, following Simba's tracks. The savannah was vast and full of life. He saw herds of elephants, zebras, and gazelles. The birds sang songs, and the wind whispered tales of old. Despite the beauty around him, Kofi stayed focused on his mission. After several hours, Kofi reached a rocky cliff where Simba had made his den. The air was tense, and the ground seemed to tremble with each step he took. Kofi took a deep breath and called out, "Simba the Terrible, come out and face me!" Simba emerged, his eyes blazing and his roar echoing across the plains. He was enormous, but Kofi stood his ground. "Leave my village alone, Simba," Kofi demanded. Simba laughed, a deep, menacing sound. "You, a tiny dwarf, dare to challenge me?" Kofi didn't back down. He raised his spear and charged at Simba. The lion lunged at him, but Kofi was quick and agile. He dodged Simba's attacks and struck with his spear. The battle was fierce, and Kofi used every ounce of his strength and wit to keep up with the mighty lion. Using his wits and strength, Kofi managed to outsmart Simba. He led the lion into a trap he had set, using a deep pit covered with branches. As Simba fell into the pit, he roared in anger, but Kofi stood at the edge, looking down at the lion. "You are defeated, Simba," Kofi said. "Promise to leave our village in peace, and I will let you go." Simba, realizing he was beaten, agreed. "I promise," he growled. Kofi helped Simba out of the pit, and true to his word, Simba left the village alone. Kofi returned to Kijiji as a hero. The villagers cheered and celebrated his bravery. They sang songs of his courage and danced in joy. The children looked up to him with admiration, and the elders spoke of his bravery in their stories. From that day on, Kofi was known as the giant dwarf, the hero who saved his village. The people of Kijiji learned that true strength comes not from size, but from courage and heart. And Kofi continued to live among them, always ready to help and protect his beloved village. But the story of Kofi did not end there. His bravery had sparked a sense of adventure and courage among the villagers. Inspired by Kofi's bravery, the people of Kijiji started to explore beyond their village. They discovered new lands, made new friends, and learned new things. Kijiji became a place where stories of bravery and adventure were told every night around the fire. One evening, as the sun set and the sky turned a deep shade of orange, Kofi gathered the children of Kijiji. He wanted to share the story of his adventure with Simba the Terrible. The children sat in a circle, their eyes wide with anticipation. Kofi began. It all started when I found Simba's tracks near our village. I knew I had to follow them and protect our home. The journey was long and difficult, but I never gave up. I remembered the words of Baba Juma, "You have the heart of a giant." The children listened in awe as Kofi recounted his battle with Simba. He described the fierce lion, the heat of the savannah, and the trap he set to outsmart the beast. Kofi's voice was calm and steady, but his words painted a vivid picture of courage,